Welcome to Cluckingham Palace, where we keep the royalty. This is New York City. Welcome to the Acropolis. Hey guys, Sean from Livingseeds, your seed guru. Today we are taking you behind the scenes into the Livingseeds Hatchery. Before Livingseeds was a thing, before the heirloom seed market started in South Africa, we were keeping chickens, we were raising chickens, we were breeding chickens, and we were selling chickens across the country. We primarily were working with the Cook breed. It's only been recently where we have expanded our passion for chickens into the Livingseeds Hatchery, and today I want to show you what we have done for you guys with the Livingseeds Hatchery. Very much like Livingseeds, where we have a passion for heirloom seed varieties, where we want to keep heirloom seed varieties alive and available for the home gardener, the Livingseeds Hatchery is exactly the same. We have heritage poultry breeds that we are keeping alive to allow people to enjoy and experience the pleasure of keeping these magnificent birds. At the Livingseeds Hatchery, we have 36 different breeds of chicken that we are working with. We have heritage breeds, we have our very special hybrid breeds that we are producing ourselves, and we have certain breeds that are in mega flocks because they're in such massive demand. One of the exciting aspects of Livingseeds Hatchery is our bantam breeds. These guys are in such high demand, we literally have customers fighting each other for these birds. We really struggle to keep them in stock for you guys, and we are working on increasing our breeding capacity to make sure that bantams are available for the guys that really want these cute little birds. Welcome to Cluckingham Palace. Cluckingham Palace is where we keep the royalty. The royalty is the best breeding stock that we have to perpetuate the various lines that we are selling on Livingseeds Farm. Any birds that don't make the grade over here go down to our egg mobile in our pasture. They provide the eggs that we sell inside our store. And this is New York City. New York City is where we have all of the immigrants, and these immigrants are being sent off Livingseeds Farm to their new forever homes. Welcome to the Acropolis, the latest development in the Livingseeds expansion. The Acropolis cages are about 60 square meters per cage. There's 12 cages in this bank of chicken cages, which brings our total fixed cages on Livingseeds Farm to over 80 chicken runs. So we have 80 chicken runs in various configurations and various sizes to suit the different needs of breeding 36 different types of heritage chickens for you guys. These cages are specifically designed for massive egg production, and one of the things that we would like to get back into is supplying heritage eggs on a regular basis. These 6 breeds, and I'll run them through for you quickly. The first breed over here is Light Sussex. The second breed is Cooks. The third one is Rhode Island Reds. We've got Black Australorps. We've got White Leghorns. And then right at the end, we've got our Easter Egger cages. And the whole idea is to be able to provide you guys, first of all, with fertile eggs. Second of all, with chicks and birds all the way up to point of lay. Just walking up past these cages and looking at all of the birds that we have put into these cages, it amazes me how long it's taken us to get these mega cages or the Acropolis up and running. This has been about a year in progress. The idea for the Acropolis came about with the 2023-2024 avian influenza outbreak, where we were just inundated. We were inundated with people that wanted birds. We had people phoning us and shouting at us and cursing us because we didn't have birds available. We limited our eggs in our seed store to 1 dozen per customer, and we had customers screaming and shouting because their suppliers had dropped them and now we can't drop them, but they weren't previous customers. It was an absolute crazy time for us. So the idea for the Acropolis came about because of that avian influenza outbreak, where there was definitely a desire for people looking for fertile eggs. There was a desire for people looking for larger quantities of chicks, or a lot of chicks in various age groups. The birds that are inside these cages over here, we actually raised over the last year, and we held these birds back from our customers because we knew that we needed to stock these cages, and we can't sell the birds to our customers because otherwise we wouldn't have birds to stock these cages. As you can see, these cages are quite well stocked. They aren't completely stocked yet. There are a couple of cages where they are a little bit light on the hen side. We'd like to see about 30 hens, at least 30 hens per cage. And when that happens, we'll be able to supply fertile eggs for you. We'll be able to supply day-old chicks for you, all the way up to point of lay in much larger quantities, which we are sure is going to satisfy the desire for heritage poultry in South Africa. I'm inside my cinnamon cages. The cinnamons, you hear these guys next to me over here. Normally when we walk into these cages, we're actually feeding the birds mealworms, and they're just super excited, making a noise. They're wanting their mealworms. They're demanding their mealworms. So let's hope they're going to calm down a little bit. Otherwise I'll need to move somewhere else to make it a little bit quieter. Let's talk about how our cages are set up. There's a very specific logic in the way our cages are set up. First of all, you'll see that we have corrugated iron separating all of the cages. The reason for the corrugated iron is we don't want the roosters in adjoining cages to be able to see each other. If they can see each other, they are going to fight through the fence. First of all, you don't want the roosters fighting naturally. Second of all, you don't want the roosters wasting energy trying to fight through the fence when their energy should be put into the girls to be providing us with fantastic eggs. The next thing that we have is we have the ramp that leads up to this cage. You'll see the ramp has got plastic mesh. It gives the chickens traction. If the mesh wasn't here, they would actually slide down the ramp. They don't have enough traction. We have a new design in the Incubators, and I'll show you that design now, which seems to be working quite well. However, this ramp is in the center of the cage, which doesn't make sense, because if we need to work inside this cage, if we need to catch a bird, the ramp is actually in the way. The reason why the ramp is in the center is that if the ramp was against, and let me go this side over here, if this ramp was against this side of the fence and that ramp was against this side of the fence over here, we would need to actually shield the roosters from each other, which is just an extra expense. So what we've done is we've put the ramps in the center so the roosters, they can see each other, but they really can't fight each other between the fences. There's most definitely a need to keep these cages sanitary. We have a roost up here which you can't see, so at night the birds come up and they roost. Our entire goal with these cages is to create a relaxed environment for the girls, because if the girls are relaxed, they're going to be producing fantastic eggs. So there's roosts up here. The girls will climb up and they will actually jump up onto the roost. It's nice and dark over there. They feel secure, so they actually feel a lot more comfortable in these cages. The next thing that we have is we have our nesting boxes at the back. We have got a girl that's busy laying an egg in the back over there. And then we have staff that need to clean these cages. We need to keep the cages clean for hygiene purposes. Very simple. What happens is they wheel a wheelbarrow inside here. They put the wheelbarrow underneath this nesting box, and they use a rake and they just rake all of the shavings out. They'll also go through once a week and they'll spot clean. The birds have a habit of roosting in the same place every night. So what happens is you'll find a pile of droppings underneath where they roost. So it's quite easy to remove the droppings out and just put some fresh shavings where those droppings were. Let's talk about how and what we feed our birds. We use these farm-made chicken feeders. This is a free choice chicken feeder. What happens is this feeder gets filled with an elite laying pellet mix. This is the highest quality laying pellet that we can buy, and this forms the bulk of the chicken's diet. In addition to the pellets that we feed the birds, our birds get dried chili flakes, which come off Livingseeds farm, biochar, which is produced on Livingseeds farm. It's ground biochar. They get fed kelp, which we bring up from the Cape, and they get fed diatomaceous earth as well. So those Those are 4 main additives that we will include into the chicken food. The birds are able to differentiate with most of the things. They're actually able to pick out the kelp themselves. They're able to pick out the chili flakes themselves and the biochar. The diatomaceous earth just coats the food, and they are eating the diatomaceous earth, which helps them with internal parasites and a few other health benefits as well. One of the problems that you will experience if you have adult birds and you're feeding adult birds some kind of mash food, what happens is they will pick the mash out and the mash will fall onto the ground and literally disappear into the soil. In this instance, if our bird messes a couple of pellets on the actual ground, we can then take a cap and put a cap over the feeder and force the chickens to eat the food that's lying on the ground. If the food that is on the ground is a mash, it would literally get lost inside the soil. This is one way that you reduce your feed costs, as well as attracting less pests into your chicken run. Every single cage has a separate nipple drinker. So how the nipple drinker works is that the bird can actually peck at this little silver dangly, and that'll allow water to come out. It's fresh, clean water that's properly cooled. I'll show you the watering system now. Every single cage also has a tap that allows us to turn the water supply off to the cage. And the reason why you want the water supply turned off to a specific cage is that we might be putting new birds into this cage, and those new birds might need stress pack, they might need additional vitamins, or if we find that they've got worms, we can put a dewormer into their water, turn the fresh water off and force them to drink out of a gravity waterer, and the medication or the vitamins will be inside the gravity waterer. This is the heart of the Livingseeds drinking system. We've got a 100-litre plastic container. It's been painted white so that the water stays cool inside here. There's 2 rods that we've installed, because if you don't install these rods, what happens is this container actually bows out and then it doesn't close properly. There is a toilet valve float over here, and the reason for the toilet valve float is to ensure that this container is always filled. This is where the smarts of the system gets put together. We've got 2 taps over here, so if we want to medicate this run, if we want to give this run some kind of vitamin or some kind of supplement that is water-based, what we do is we know that there's 100 liters of water over here. We close the tap on this side. We will then close the tap on this side as well and isolate this container. Now what happens is we can mix our medication or our supplement into 100 liters of water, and we know that this is at a specific strength. Once we have closed off both of the taps to the water, we need to drain the entire system. And we just open this tap over here, and what happens is we now start to drain the entire system to ensure that all of the nipple drinkers inside the cage are dry. Once we've finished draining the system and closed it, what we will do is we will allow these birds to go without water for about 2 hours. That'll make the birds thirsty, and as soon as we open this tap over here, the birds will actually hear the water flowing and they will start drinking immediately. This ensures that whatever medication we're trying to give the birds or whatever vitamins that we are trying to give the birds goes directly inside the birds. We keep this one closed because we don't want fresh water going in and diluting the solution. We are in the main corridor in Cluckingham Palace. As you'll notice, we've got shade net above us. The reason for the shade net is to keep wild birds off the top of the cages. Wild birds will bring disease, they'll bring mites, they'll defecate through the mesh into our cages. We want to keep those wild birds off as much as possible. So that is the reason why there is shade cloth above our chicken runs. It also gives a little bit of shade inside here, which makes the bird slightly more comfortable. And the whole design methodology and logic is to ensure the bird's comfort. One of the things that we can do inside here is we reduce the amount of labor that's required. We also reduce the amount of human interaction with the birds, so the birds don't get stressed on a daily basis because we're going in frittling around, trying to collect eggs, trying to put water down, trying to put food down. Everything that we need to do for maintenance happens in this corridor. we're able to access all of the cages from the back. We can go into the cages, we can see which birds are laying, we can see how many eggs need to be collected, and the birds are disturbed absolutely minimally. Besides egg collection, we are actually able to top up the food of the birds from the outside. There's no need to go inside the cages. The birds don't get disturbed. Our biosecurity is not compromised because we're going from one cage to the next. Every single cage has a laying chart on here, so you can see that we've got our breed code. This is BOS, this is a Bosfelder, and we can look inside here. I can tell you how many hens are inside here, what month this is for, and how many eggs are laid on a daily basis. We are able to ascertain what these breeds or these birds are laying for us on a monthly and on an annual basis. The cool thing is we can go inside here. Hey girls, and you can see he has a nice Bosfelder hen. She's nice and calm, and we can go in and collect the eggs, and I'll show you how we handle the eggs a little bit later. Hey girls, welcome to the hatchery on Livingseeds Farm. This is one part of Livingseeds Hatchery, the business that you as a customer never get to experience. So I'm going to take you through the hatchery today and show you exactly how this is put together. The reason why we don't allow customers into the hatchery is specifically for biosecurity reasons. A lot of our customers keep chickens. A lot of the chickens are 100% free range. We don't know what you might be bringing into the hatchery, so we just shut it down to ensure that the birds that we're supplying out of the hatchery are 100% healthy. So we've got a whole lot of incubators running over here. These two incubators, these are 390 egg incubators. Each one is 390 eggs. We use the one for bantams. We use the second for our Coturnix quails. They both hatch at different rates. We have specific incubators for those types of birds. Behind me over here, these are 2,000 egg sure hatch incubators. You can see all of our incubators are sure hatch incubators. We are hatching north of about 1,000 eggs a week on Livingseeds Farm. As you know, it takes 3 weeks to hatch an egg. If we're doing 1,000 eggs a week, we need to have capacity for 3,000 eggs. Hence, we have capacity for 4,000 eggs. This over here is a 2,000 egg hatcher, and this gets used once a week. So let me explain the logic behind these machines for you. We will have one of these incubators empty for at least 1 week. And during that week, when the incubator is empty, it gets stripped down, it gets cleaned, it gets sterilized and left dry. And this ensures good biosecurity inside the incubators. A lot of breeders are running their incubators for months at an end. They're constantly putting eggs into the incubator. And what you'll find is that your hatch rate actually declines the longer you go into the season, because you're developing some kind of bacterial or fungal infection inside the incubator. On Livingseeds Farm, every 3 weeks, we strip an incubator down, it remains dry, and that ensures that we can keep these incubators clean. Incubating is generally a very clean process. There's not really much that can go wrong unless you have an egg exploding in an incubator. And those of you that have incubated eggs for a while probably have had an exploding egg inside your incubator. Because there are only eggs for a maximum of 3 weeks inside here, the chances of an exploding egg is absolutely reduced. The hatcher, this is the dirty side of hatching. This is where you have feather dander, you have blood, you have liquid that comes out of the egg, and this is the dirty side of hatching chicks. So we are very fortunate that we have a separate hatcher, and this enables us to strip this hatcher down once a week, sterilize the hatcher, and we know that it's clean. What happens on a weekly basis is that the eggs come out of the hatcher, they go onto these tables, and our staff will now start to process the birds based on breed. Our chicks go into the hatcher in special crates that we are able to divide, and we are able to put different breeds of birds together in the same crate, as long as the birds when they hatch are different colors. All of the day-old chicks will go into a crate like this, and I'll explain the crate process to you now. So inside here we've got 2 lines of black copper Moran. So we've got black copper Moran 1, black copper Moran 2. Our 4th Easter egger line, there's vendors inside here, and silver laced Wyandottes. And these birds were hatched on the 17th of the 12th. Currently our hatches are timed so that the birds will start hatching on a Tuesday, our hatch will be finished on a Wednesday, and all birds will be vaccinated on a Thursday morning. The vaccine that we give to the birds is called NDIB, Newcastle disease and infectious bronchitis. It is a water-based vaccine, so the vaccine is actually put into the drinkers of the chicks. There are customers that want unvaccinated birds. If you want unvaccinated birds, you have to collect the birds on a Wednesday afternoon, as Thursday morning every single bird that is hatched has been vaccinated. This is the other side of the actual Livingseeds Hatchery. I've shown you that side over there where we keep the day-old or up to 2-week-old chicks in crates. The reason why those chicks are kept in crates, we can put a single light over the crate, we can condense the bird, that keeps the bird comfortable, their food is very close, their water is very close, so they don't need to spend too much time working things out. Once they hit the 3-week stage, they need to be moved into larger quarters. These floor pens are our larger quarters, and we will keep the birds indoors in these floor pens for up to 6-7 weeks, depending on what the outside temperature is. If it's a nice warm summer week or 2 weeks where we see that we've got good weather for the next couple of weeks, we might move these birds out at about 5 weeks where they're fully feathered, and that allows us to clean out these cages, sterilize the cages for the next batch of birds that are coming down. These cages are slightly larger, the birds are slightly older, they've worked out what a waterer looks like, they've worked out what a feeder looks like. We only hang a single light because the birds are able to move towards and away from the light, and they know their way around here. They are cheeping a bit, and I think they think that I'm bringing them snacks, which is not true. Sorry guys. The light's not great over here, but one of the things that is critically important inside a hatchery is air movement. We have an extractor fan that runs 24/7. You don't want humidity to build up inside your hatchery. Humidity comes with additional problems. So we have an air conditioner that ensures that we keep the temperature stable inside the hatchery. And we have an extractor fan that is constantly pulling air out of this room to keep the humidity down. We're inside the Hatchery Store. Inside the Hatchery Store, we have all of the equipment that you need to feed and water your chickens. If you're looking for nipple drinkers, we have nipple drinkers available. These are relatively hard to find. We've got food in various sizes from 5 kilos all the way up to 40 kilos. We do all of the different kinds of foods that you will need for chickens or for quails, as well as infrared lights and fittings to ensure that your baby chicks are comfortable. One of the main goals of Livingseeds Hatchery is to produce fertile eggs so that we can hatch healthy, happy chicks for you guys. We will incubate at least 1,000 eggs a week of various breeds across 36 different varieties of birds. Our eggs are kept in our Hatchery Store where you're able to have a look at them. You'll note that the eggs are elevated, or at least the egg trays are elevated on one side. And the reason for this is those trays get rotated every single day to ensure that the yolks and the embryo inside the egg remains free and unattached on the inside of the actual egg. At Livingseeds Hatchery, we are in pursuit of excellence, and that excellence is in the health of the birds, that is in the quality of the birds, it is in the egg laying ability of the birds, it is trying to give our customers birds that will add value to their lives, whether the birds become household pets, whether they become part of the food security for their family, or whether our birds become part of the income generation ability of our customers' homesteads. Livingseeds Hatchery, our goal is to give you the best birds possible. Your only question now is, how do I get hold of the Livingseeds Hatchery? If you look in the description below, our website address is below, our email address is below, our phone number is below, our WhatsApp number is below. We also have a Facebook group that'll put you on the shortest path to success with your poultry.